closer. Have you read the Bible lately?
Have I? Girl, let me tell you.
Child, it's so juicy. But I ain't a gossip.
But for you, I'm gonna spill a little.
Of course, you didn't hear this from me.
But make sure you spread the news.
Because we are about to spill the tea.
I'm royalty. I'm royalty.
Hey girl, how are you?
Girl, I'm good. It's been a while.
It's been 2 whiles.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but
Yes.
I'm here. You know I love me some tea.
Girl, well, buckle your seatbelt because I got some tea for you.
Because I got some tea too.
Do you?
Yeah.
You go first.
You sure? No, you go first.
Okay.
Okay.
Girl, have you talked to Rachel or Leah?
Girl, that's my tea.
That's your tea?
That's my tea. What happened? What's going on?
Okay. So did she tell you about Jacob?
Yeah, I heard they're married now. These sisters are hitched.
Both of them married him.
Oh.
It's a mess.
Yeah,
It's
a
mess.
mess.
It's crazy.
Okay.
So what happened is Jacob shows up. He I don't even know how he gets there, but he shows up and he sees Rachel and he's like, oh my God. He's talking to people around and he's understanding that like his kinfolk is there, right? And he sees Rachel. He kisses her. He's like, oh my God, I'm your cousin. And so Rachel, yes, girl, cousins. So Rachel goes back and tells her dad. What's her dad's name again?
Laban.
Laban. She goes back and tells Laban, and Laban's like, oh my gosh, my nephew, like, I'm gonna go say hi. So he goes, says hi, he embraces him, whatever. Well, in the meantime, in between time, Jacob starts working for Laban.
Okay.
And Jacob tells him that he's falling in love with Rachel. And that he will work for 7 years for her hand in marriage.
7 years?
Girl, we can't get these men to work for 7 days.
Listen.
Sis, the tea is hot.
It is hot.
Okay?
Get your woman, Jacob. I'm here for it.
Yes. So he works for him for 7 days.
Okay.
And what?
Years.
Or years. I'm sorry.
Girl.
Child.
Years.
Years. Okay? The whole completion. Okay? 7 years. And the night that they were supposed to get married, Laban puts lazy-eyed Leah in the bed.
Weak-eyed, girl.
Weak-eyed.
Weak-eyed.
Lazy, weak.
It's something.
Yeah, and he puts her in the bed with him.
Right, because I heard, you know, in their tradition, the older one has to get married first, right?
The older one's supposed to
But
get married
still,
first.
that's a bit
It's just,
savage.
it's shady.
Yeah.
Because he worked for that, right?
7
It's so
years,
shady.
yeah.
It's crazy. But, yes. So, he tricked him.
Okay.
And he woke up to Leah in the bed with him.
Right.
And then he wasn't married to Rachel. So he got mad and was like, Laban, what are you doing? Like, that wasn't our agreement.
Yeah.
So he worked for 7 more years for Rachel.
Whoa. 14 years?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Girl.
No way.
Yes. And so now those sisters are married to Jacob.
I did not hear
Which
that
are
part.
cousins.
I did not hear that part of the
What'd you
story.
hear?
Girl, what I heard was the drama with the babies, okay?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a whole different mess in itself.
Listen, it sure is. And so, so basically Jacob loves Rachel, right? However, it was Leah that kept popping babies. I think she had 4 sons, and it got to a point where Rachel was just pissed off and was like, hey, you got to give me a son now or a kid now or something like that. And so I guess she wasn't getting pregnant, and so she gave Jacob her servant, Bilhah.
What?
You remember she introduced
Yes.
us to her? Yes. I'm like, Rachel, what were you thinking? Like, I'm like, your man loves you. You know, just keep it stepping. But anyway, so then it became a competition. And so after Leah's 3rd or 4th, no, she had 4 boys, right? Reuben, Seaman, Levi,
and then
and
Judah.
Judah
Yeah,
for
Judah,
praise,
yeah,
right? And
right.
then she stopped having kids, and then the servant, and then now Leah gave Jacob her servant, Zilpah. Girl, it's
They
not
are
funny.
messy.
Girl, it's not funny. It's not funny. Laughing, but it's not funny. Yeah.
How many babies are there, sis?
I don't know.
Like 15.
Yeah, like or 20, a whole soccer team. But yeah, and so
What?
yeah, and even they named their kids after like basically how they were feeling. So I know I know Leah named like Reuben, like the Lord has heard my
sorrow.
Right,
Yeah, like
and
based
so-
on her experience.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so now my husband will love me now. And
Yeah.
you know, he still loves Rachel.
Girl, what?
Right. He still loves Rachel.
What? That's so crazy.
Right. And so
Girl, let me turn this TV back on.
Okay.
Keep talking though. Keep talking.
So it got to a point where Rachel was desperate. Let me finish doing this.
Girl, treat yourself. Cause the tea is piping.
Listen, you know I love me some good tea.
I know you do.
Okay.
Is it good?
And tea type tea.
Two teas.
Listen.
Yes. Okay.
So Rachel got really desperate. Okay.
Yeah.
And she asked for Leah's son's mandrakes. You know what mandrakes are?
No.
Girl, I had to look it up when she told
What
me.
is it?
I'm
I was like
okay.
mandarins.
Mandarins. Girl, mandrakes.
What's that?
Apparently, it's a plant that makes you, you know, like
Oh, fertile.
fertile. Yes.
Really? Oh.
Right. And so Rachel asked Leah for it. It's like, okay, you can have our man tonight if you give me your mandrakes, your son's mandrakes.
How you gonna give me my man?
But really, Jacob was not her man. Think about it. Jacob is not really her man. Jacob never wanted her.
The daddy tricked both of them.
Yeah, but that's not. I feel sorry for Leah.
He didn't. It don't matter if you wanted her. You committed to it. So if you didn't want her, can they annul marriage in the Bible? I don't know.
I don't know how it works back then. I don't know. But anyway, so the mandrake didn't work. I feel like Rachel was just trying to play God, honestly. Yeah, but they didn't work. And Leah had another baby. She ended up having a girl. It's so funny. Dinah.
Dinah, I can't remember her
She
name.
ended up having a girl, and yeah, it just kept going back and forth, and I guess finally Rachel had that one son. Do you remember?
Joseph.
Yep. Joseph.
Girl.
I just feel like it's sad because, you know, Rachel was loved, but she didn't have kids. And Leah,
Until later. Yeah.
Until later, right? I wonder how long this went. Like, we have been in the dark.
Yeah, I'm like, girl, I haven't talked to her in forever.
Me too. I'm like, how long has this been going on?
You know, because she moved and then.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
so we lost touch.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I'm glad it. I don't know if it's worked out, but I'm sure there's some more tea. But yeah, I just feel like kind of sad for Leah too, because Jacob didn't really want her. So I don't know why. Can't you just say no? Like,
Can't you say no? But I guess when you're tricked.
but who was tricked? Jacob was tricked, not
Yeah.
Leah. Leah knew what was going down.
Did she though? I know. How can you not? I understand that, but like, did she? She's like, oh, he wants to marry me.
Oh, maybe she didn't know that he wanted Rachel, do you think?
Yeah.
Girl, I don't know. At this
It's
point,
messy.
it's, yeah. So.
That's messy.
But, yeah, that's the tea.
Piping hot. Well, girl, it was so good to see you.
Yes, I'm so happy we connected
I
again.
know. Now let's watch this
Wow,
show.
y'all, that story is so over dramatic. There are so many parts. It is so juicy. It has so much in it that it's actually hard to just discuss little things that you learned about it. But I'm just going to tell you a little bit that I learned from the story. First and foremost, when I grew up, what I used that story for was for the romance. The romance that Jacob loved Rachel so much that he was going to work for her for 7 years. And then when he was tricked and bamboozled and had to marry and was secretly married to someone else, he didn't even know he was married to somebody else. And he woke up in the morning, it's like, the lady that's in bed with me is not my wife, not the one I love. But to even go back and say, okay, I'll work 7 more years for Rachel. That's 14 years, y'all. 14 years of effort, hard work. This is not days or weeks or a year. That's 14 years that he worked for her. He waited for her to be his wife. That is love. So for all you women out there, and also men too, but for all you, I'm going to speak to the women, then I'll speak to men. For all you women out there, y'all, we have to know that God has great love stories for us. The men that God has for us are men who will cherish us, who will love us, who will wait and work 14 years for us. And that seems so crazy, but it's true. That's the kind of man you want. A man who honors you and loves you and will do, what he has to do to be the man that God called him to be in your life. So y'all, don't just settle for anything. And when I mean settle, I'm not talking about looks and stuff like that. Like, people want to settle like, okay, I wanted somebody to look like this, so I'm not going to settle. No, for their heart. Do they reflect God's heart? Don't settle for anybody that doesn't reflect God's heart. Even if they quote unquote claim to be a believer or quote unquote claim to be a Christian or whatever. Y'all can tell somebody by their fruit. Look at the fruit that they're producing. Who are they? You want to make sure that you have someone who cherishes and loves you and who loves and cherishes the Lord and who puts that effort and care into you. Oh, it's so romantic. But as I read the story, I start to think about Leah and the sadness of Leah to have been tricked. Let me tell you something. Every single person in the story was tricked, okay? Jacob was tricked. Leah was tricked. Rachel was tricked. The evil one is Laban, okay? He is evil. He tricked all these people just for his own selfish greed and pride. That's what he did. So in tricking these people, you have these people in a love triangle that were not supposed to be in a love triangle. So now you have an older sister who is not loved by her husband, who's married to her husband, who is having kids. Then you have a younger sister who's in love with Jacob, and Jacob's in love with her, but she's not having kids. So you put the 3 people in this house together, and they're in this house together, and they're constantly competing against each other. It's just unrest. There's division in the household. It's just shenanigans, and it is so sad that they have to grow up in that. It's so sad that that's their life. Let me tell you guys, for those of you guys who know, my sister is my best friend. She's my best friend. I would never want to be pitted against her because of a relationship. Let me tell you something. We don't really like the same people anyway. And we wouldn't do that to each other. No, we love each other too much to do that. I'm not rolling up on her man and she ain't rolling up on my man. We're not doing that. But to think that they were tricked into that and then they were stuck in that, and that's how they had to live their life. But the crazy thing is, the thing that I learned about this is, though they were in competition, though they were constantly trying to outbeat the other, to the fact that they even gave their husband to their servants. Nah, y'all, let me tell you something. My man is my man. I ain't sharing with nobody. But they were giving each other to their relationship and all this competition with each other, and they're constantly competing. But when there was peace, the peace started when they started to look at their own lives and started to look at what God is doing and who they were in Christ. Then the peace came. And that's what I saw when Leah started to realize that, you know what? I'm loved by God. I don't care what situation I'm in. I'm loved by God. I am who he called me to be. And you know what? I am the one having the babies. I'm having the babies because God has called me to this. And this is who I am. And she started to love herself and to brace herself. There was peace. When Leah came to the conclusion of who she was and just how much she was valued in God's eyes and how desired she was, then there was peace. And I feel like we, especially as women, we spend most of our lives competing with each other and trying to compare ourselves to others and do what other people are doing or what other women are doing or coveting what they have and all this stuff, that we forget to live our own lives. And God has given us purpose. He has given us a life here to live. He has given us dreams. He has given us certain things. And just because our life doesn't look like someone else or we don't have what they have, that doesn't mean our life is pointless. No, when we take the moment to sit and stand and just to breathe in who God called us to be, I feel like that's where freedom comes and that's where peace comes. So I want to encourage you guys out of this story is, do not be competing with other people. Don't look around and compare yourself and compete and try to grab or have what other people have. Even if you're thrown into the situation, know that God called you to be who you are. There is value in you. There is gold in you. So go ahead and stand firm in who God called you to be, because that's where the treasure is. That's where the peace is. And that's where the freedom is. So I just wanted to encourage you guys. Y'all, thank you for watching the story. The story was so funny. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel so you can catch the rest of these stories. And subscribe to Instinctively Royal. And we will see you guys next week. Have a wonderful day. All right, bye.